Again, because of this social distancing, I can't have Johannes Leak on set with me. Luckily, we caught up on the weekend, but we get to cross to Johannes at home tonight. Thanks for joining us, Johannes. I just love the shot. The Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones, are they your dad's works?
They are indeed, yes. I picked a nice corner where these works were already up on the wall, and I thought it'd be a nice chance to show them off to the world.
Oh, just brilliant. I particularly love that Bob Dylan one. Great stuff, mate. Now, let's get into the cartoons, and you've highlighted for us the one in The Australian today by John Spooner. This is one of those classic cartoons that actually draws from one of the great masters' paintings. So talk us through that. Well, the way Spooner's drawn it, he's got elbows and cudgels, and it's the economy fighting the virus, which couldn't be more apt. They're both beating each other into submission. But explain the background for us.
Well, yes, this is a sort of reinvention of an incredibly powerful painting by Goya. I think it dates back to about 1820. And it was painted on the walls of the villa that he lived in as he was sort of in his later years in ailing sort of health. And these paintings are famous. They're called the black paintings, and they're incredibly dark and menacing and deal with death, basically, and lots of grim sort of subject matter. And this particular painting has always been sort of seen to represent the sort of futility of conflict and the way that these two condemned sort of characters they look as if they're buried up to their knees in some sort of quagmire, and they're just sort of bashing each other senseless.
Yeah,
and
it's a great cartoon for the moment, because that is to kill the virus, you've got to do so much harm to the economy, and vice versa. I tell you what, I want to go to yours though from a couple of days earlier. On the coronavirus, and to me, I mentioned this to you on the weekend, to me this had a bit of Guernica, had a bit of Picasso's Guernica about it, the battle scene, because you've got ScoMo and others sort of walking through the destroyed landscape of Australia. Qantas is a wreck, everything's fallen over, it's sort of a Mad Max bleak landscape, and you're saying now on the plus side, we sure beat that coronavirus.
Well, you've nailed it. That's exactly what I sort of had in mind. I wanted to fast forward straight to the apocalypse and beyond, and kind of picture what things might look like if we devote absolutely everything in this single-minded fight against this virus. I mean, there will come a time where we sort of look around and think, has the treatment been even more deadly than the disease itself? Let's hope that's not the case. I mean, this idea of an induced coma for the economy, I think, is a very effective sort of analogy. But let's just hope we can kind of wake the economy back up and things will get back to normal, because the longer things stay out of action, the more destruction we'll be looking at on the other side, you know. Yeah,
indeed. Well, there are a couple of bleak cartoons, a couple of very dark cartoons. So let's have a look at some others that find a bit of a laugh, have a bit of a laugh in the situation. This one of yours, where you've got the young kid is home from school, and he's got mum and dad in a pusher and says, "I'm sorry, sir, but I'm just going to have to stay home and look after these two." And I think the idea of mum and dad fighting over the toilet paper and the rest of it, they're not exactly setting the best example for the younger Australians.
Well, yes, I wouldn't have thought so. And I tried with this cartoon to sort of present possibly a flip side to the idea that we have to take kids out of school because it's safer for them. I think it's better for the kids to be home looking after their parents, because at the moment it looks like the kids are the ones with more sense than the adults.
Well, just on that, let's have a look at Warren Brown's cartoon of some of the adults at Bondi Beach on the weekend. He's got them playing volleyball with the coronavirus. That says it all. No caption required.
Absolutely brilliant. Just clever, hilarious. They look completely brainless, as they should in such a cartoon, and it pretty much sums up what was going on that day. It's like, oh, we're just going to treat this as though it's some big game, and God only knows how many people were infected down there.
Oh, it's just incredible. In fact, there's another cartoon here from Mark Knight in the Herald Sun. He's drawn the same theme, and he's got poor old ScoMo. ScoMo's in Bondi Rescue, and he's looking out over the crowd just wondering what on earth they are up to.
Exactly, and I think all of those selfies and cameras traced back at themselves says a lot about the me generation and the fact that nobody's going to get between them and a good time and the sunshine and all that sort of thing. And unfortunately, that is precisely what the government is asking us not to do. It's to think about other people for a change. And let's just hope that there was a bit of a reality check after they shut the beach down.
There's another Mark Knight one here that plays on this idea of Fortress Australia. Now, we're used to talking about tough border protection in this country, but we've always been so welcoming of people coming here, and we've always been great travellers. Not any longer, raising the drawbridge and trying to attack the virus.
Yeah, well, I had to slip this one in as well. I mean, it's just such a beautiful piece of work. It's got touches of some of those, final battles in Game of Thrones in there, and this incredible ship that's sort of a caricature of a cruise ship. You notice that right at the top there's those little radar balls that you always see on tops of ships. I'm not sure exactly what they do, but you always have to draw them when you're drawing a ship. Yeah. And he's drawn them as little, virus cells. And this is an interesting time because borders suddenly seem very relevant, and living on an island continent seems like such a blessing all of a sudden. You really think we'd be silly not to be making the most of some of those natural advantages that we have.
Absolutely. Now, we won't have time to talk about this last one, but I do want to show everyone at home the Spectator cover this week. Fantastic cartoon. Extinction Rebellion glued to the floor. Apocalypse now. And the little old lady saying, you can get up now. It is the end of the world. Just fantastic stuff there on the cover of the Specky. Thanks for joining us, Johannes. Really good to talk.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Chris.